Hey friends, and welcome to the Mom Sweat Sanity Podcast. I'm Brittany, accountability coach for women who know they're made for more. This is a space where ambition meets real life, where we talk fitness, family, personal growth, leadership, and all the what the hell is happening right now moments in between. Around here, we don't chase perfection. We build momentum. We push comfort zones, ask better questions, and take real action on the goals that matter most. Each week, you'll hear honest conversations, powerful guests, and grounded reminders that you don't have to choose between showing up for your life and going after your potential. So whether you're walking, sweating, driving, or hiding in your car for 5 quiet minutes, you're in the right place. This is your permission to stop playing small in your own life. Let's get into it. Okay, everyone. Well, welcome back to the Mom Sweat Sanity Podcast. I am really excited for today's guest. We were just getting to know each other and realizing we are way closer than realized. But honestly, I think that we have so much overlap that I can't believe it has taken this long for our worlds to collide. She is a fellow North Vancouver mom, a coach, podcast host, community builder, and really in the thick of things with her littles here in North Van at the moment. So something I remember so well is that age. And now my crew is like firmly in their teenage era, and I am in a very different chapter of life on this wild ride, but I just remember it like it was yesterday. So welcome. I am so glad you're here. Can you maybe introduce yourself a little bit for my audience and tell them a little bit about you?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I cannot believe I was just saying I've done, podcast interviews and with people who are in like Utah or like just like, places all over the world, which is always super fun and how cool that we can do that. But then there is something so fun about I'm like looking up towards the mountain where I presume you live in the direction. I'm like, how cool is that? We're just across the forest.
Literally. I love
literally.
it. Yeah.
So yes, I'm Andrea Barr. I have a 3 and a 5-year-old babies. First one was born in COVID. We live in North Vancouver. Got a husband we live with too. He's nice. Someone's knocking at my door right now that you think they'd be used to this thing, but it's part of it, right? I love that about these shows. It's like the listeners are like, yeah, I get it.
My dogs are on a walk right now. Perfect timing. I'm like, okay, good. They're not here.
Yes, the dogs can
no
be
barking.
As a host, when people have dogs, I'm like, oh God, how's this going to go?
Totally.
I digress, as I usually do. So I am by trade a career coach, and I specialize in working with parents. Career changes, transitions, parental leaves. I'm a parent and I used to be a lawyer. What the hell do I do now? Like everything in between is my, I would say, like trade, my day job. I love doing that. And then more recently, in the last few years, I launched the All Figured Out podcast, which just hit the global top 3% of podcasts in the world, which is so cool and fun. And it's a podcast all about the intersection of work, life, and parenting, and how do you make it all work when you're an ambitious professional, a semi-ambitious human, just like, you've got other stuff going on. At first it was like this, like work, like working parent podcast. And more recently I've just been realizing, no, it's just about the person who's got multiple things going on, including kids. And you want to still be living and building your life and have beautiful experiences with your family and your children. And you want to like be a great human being. And at the end of your life, look back and be like, damn, that was a great life. And I was a good person in it. And most recently, I also have the Breakfast Club, which I host out in West Vancouver. It's a monthly quote unquote club. Really, it's a breakfast. It's beautiful. We get together, we explore, a personal or professional development topic, have guest speakers in. And that's been a lot of fun too. So that's what keeps me busy.
Oh my gosh, I relate on so much of this, and the podcast kind of, the way that they transform and morph every conversation. I keep thinking, okay, I need to rebrand my podcast, but then I'm like, no, because every time I go back to it, it is about mom life. It's about like fitness. It's about health. It's about sanity. I'm like, no, it just kind of says it all.
Yes, totally. I know my husband's a marketer. I'm a former marketer. We were both met in advertising, and I'm always like, I just can't say it to him anymore because he'll be like, stop. I'm like, maybe I should and he's like, stop it. Stop rebranding. Just do the damn thing. I'm like, but I love to rebrand.
Just do the damn thing. Yes. And that is what life is about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So take us back. You spent like 10 years in the corporate world before making the leap into what you are now doing, which we'll dive into. But what was that moment that you knew something had to change?
I had 2 really distinct moments where which is cool because they were in very different phases of my life where I hit that moment of being like, shoot, this is not it. And I think that's just such a relatable moment that so many people have, whether it's like you become a parent and it's not that you don't want to become a parent, but you're like, this isn't working. Like the system we've got set up here is not working. The first one was at my, the ripe age of, oh God, like 23, 25 maybe, where I was like, I'm in advertising. I'm being told that I'm really good at this. I was working on McDonald's brand, working on the Aveeno advertising campaigns out in Toronto. And I was like chugging along. It was fun. I was work hard, play hard. And I tell a story that like I was looking at my computer screen, like 3 monitors on my desk. It's 10 p.m. Lights are basically off. I remember it being very dark. And I was looking at this Happy Meal banner that I was working on. I love a Happy Meal. Don't get me wrong. Like this isn't like a, screw McDonald's thing. But I was looking at this Happy Meal banner and I was thinking about like my CEO, who I just respected and adored so much, and how little she was spending time with her kids or could see her kids, and how like the rat race that she was in. And I was looking at my future ahead and I was like, whoa, like something's up. This doesn't feel right. And so with privilege and fortune and a high risk tolerance, I was like, okay, let's do something else. Did my yoga teacher training, as people do when they're in a pivot of some sort in life, like an eat, pray, love kind of vibe. Did that in Toronto at Y Yoga, and then moved to Vancouver with my husband, who hails from here. And my second pivot, so I was kind of doing some self-exploration, found learning and development as a career, did my executive coaching certificate at Royal Roads, was like on this completely new path and journey. And to make a long story, shorter, I worked and landed a job at Aritzia, and I was building their coaching program. I was doing leadership development. Like I had the job. Like I had a dream job. I had a team under me. I got a great clothing discount. Like things were good, stressful, but really good. And it wasn't until I had my daughter, fast forward through some like really scary medical stuff that happened with my husband. He has a cardiac history. And I had my daughter, and we had just been through hell and back, COVID, and a bunch of miracles started happening with his health. Like some of these surgeries, there was a lot of complications. Things just started to get better. And then I was looking at this job, and I was looking at that feeling of being like even more handcuffed in that moment than I had when I was in advertising, because I was footloose and fancy free. I was like single. My husband and I were dating, didn't have kids. And I was sitting there, once again in that same moment of facing this like, crap, like I was grateful. It wasn't that I wasn't grateful, but I should be so fulfilled in this, and I'm not. And it was a really hard conversation when my husband looked at me in the eye. We would like do these recalibration chats at dinner, like one kid sitting quietly. She was like a baby still. So it was like so easy to like have a nice long dinner. And we'd like talk about like what's working, what's not. And he looked at me and he was just like, you're not happy. I was back to work. I wasn't myself. Like I was like spicy at work in a way that like didn't feel like good and powerful. It felt like kind of bitchy, and like it just wasn't, it wasn't right. And so I faced that down yet again. And I was like, okay, what did I learn the last time? And I learned the last time that you're not going to have it all figured out. You have no idea what might happen in 3 months, but you've got a decision that you can make in this one moment, calculated, smart, of course. And so I left, and that was 3.5 years ago, and decided, it's now or never. I'm going to launch this coaching business. I'm going to help the people who are going through these junctions in their career, in their life, who are like, this is so niche. This is so specific. Like, where do I turn? And I was like, turn to me. Like, I've done this a few times, and now I have the coaching chops, and I have this learning and development, leadership development experience as well. So it's just all these random things came together. And I've just
But it's never random.
It's never random.
Right?
No. Yeah. And I just followed the breadcrumbs ever since.
I love that. So many people don't follow their own breadcrumbs in that, right? And they just get stuck in that, as you said, you show up bitchy, you're not happy anymore. And you just think like that's the only thing you have to do. And absolutely, also, as you said, making sure that you're weighing all the different options and you're able to do that. But there's always a way to, yes, if you're that unhappy in what you're doing.
Exactly. And yeah, we have to just like park. I think the privilege conversation comes up so much, and we can acknowledge that and kind of park it where it is and say, okay, so what we're talking about here is choice. What choices do you have? What do you actually want? Like half the battle is being like, I'll just be chatting with friends on a voice note and I'm like, oh, I'm so grumpy, I'm so miserable. And it's like, what do you want? And they're like, yeah, I actually don't know. And that's what you got to figure out.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's okay too. I think people get so stuck in that, like, I don't
yeah,
know what I want. It's like,
yeah,
okay, well, just start by choosing joy. I feel like finding the gratitude in your days. What, like, are you so happy to wake up and actually do? What would you not change in your day? And what would you change?
yes. Oh, I love that. I love that.
So then full circle into this, like, how did you land on parents specifically as your people?
Because the stakes felt so much higher. I had the experience of doing a career pivot, doing a life pivot, moving from Toronto to Vancouver. And that was hard in its own way, but it was very like spicy and fun and like exciting, right? And then I was staring down that decision yet again, or that feeling of like, crap, this is not it. And at that moment, I'm looking at sitting at this dinner table, being told by my husband that I'm not showing up, as myself, that I seem miserable. I'm looking at my 1-year-old daughter and I'm like, holy crap, like the stakes are so high. I'm not even talking financial stakes. I'm talking like emotional life stakes. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is the stuff that kids talk about in therapy later. And I know we always joke about that, but like I was thinking about that. I'm like, if I'm this miserable human being for the next 5 years, like those are formative years of her life. And unfortunately or fortunately, I think when you become a parent, and I've noticed this in the clients that I coach as well, it brings clarity and urgency to things that you might not have acted on like at quite as quickly, because you're like, whoa, like 5 years, like 5 years when you don't have kids or when you're whatever, it doesn't matter. Like whatever, it's just 5 years. 5 years of your life, it's a long time. But then you have kids and you're like, that's until you're 5 years old. Like I remember stuff from when I was like 3, 4, 5. And that was that moment of like, holy smoke, this feels really big. I don't know who to turn to. I've got all the tools and resources in the world. I have like tons of coach friends. I have counselors. Like I'm like all in it. I'm like personal development, like, guru, not guru, but like I had them all on speed dial. And I was like, and I'm having troubles with this. And I'm a freaking career coach. So before I specialized in parents, I was waking up in the morning before having kids, waking up in the morning, coaching for 2 hours before work, coaching in the evenings, like was doing career coaching around the clock. And then became a parent and had my own career crisis. And I was like, this is so meta and weird. And like, I actually don't even know who to turn to right now. So I was like, there is a niche here. The parents need some help. And I would say that no, you don't have to be a parent to work in the parent space, but the understanding that I now and then had as becoming a parent, and understanding that the conversation can't just be about like, oh, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what would you love to do? It's not just about that. Like the financial implications, the discussions, the daycare pickup, drop off, like those are really real factors that parents have to take into consideration. I could go on a tangent about like how I believe the workforce should better and could better support families, but that's a different discussion. Like based on the current context and climate of work in today's, society, Canada, US, wherever, like those are just real constraints that we have to work with. And I'm somebody that has like a real lived experience of understanding what that looks like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could not agree more. The constraints in that, I don't have that side of understanding, but definitely in the we are not the same as people that don't have kids. There is different levels of understanding that we have versus understanding that they have, and
Yeah.
flexibility and all of the things. So I think that's such a huge conversation and such a niche that is needed. So how do you describe like what you do to someone who's never worked with a coach before?
Oh, that's such a good. I haven't been asked that question in such a long time. I help you make sense. Like if it was you and you're like, okay, but like, what do you actually do? And you're like a potential client, I'd be like, I'm going to help you take all the swirling thoughts, ideas, grumblings in your head that I know have been swirling. I'm doing, if you're watching this on video, like that are quite literally swirling in your head that you can't get out of, and your partner, family, friends can't hold that space for you to like make sense of that. It's just they're too close. I will help you take all that swirlingness, put it into, okay, what is actually going on? We will then figure out like, what do you actually desire at a really micro level? Like what do you want to put in your coffee? Are you liking the oat milk? Are you not? Like, do you need to like, rehash and like figure out a bit of like the trauma from your birth? Okay, great. Let's like mix in some counseling. Go get a counselor for that. And then like really figure out like where on earth do you want to take all this? Like, why did you hire me? What is really going on? What do you really actually want? And then once you figure that out, it's okay, great. So what are you going to do about it? And Brittany, the weirdest thing for me is that I thought I was going to go into this and be this like quarterback, right? Like you're going to come to me and I'm going to be like, I'm going to throw you that Hail Mary. I don't know why I'm using a football analogy. I actually know nothing about football, but I've seen like all the
just
football
roll with it. We're good.
This is like a sports podcast right now.
Yeah, totally. Well, sweat. Who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All the things.
Yeah, all inclusive. I really thought I was going to be this person who was just going to like help with these like crazy transformations. And I have some crazy stories of like a police officer who became a teacher or a developer who became a lawyer. Like I've got some of those. But the coolest, biggest transformations are the people who are like, I've been swirling thinking that I had to, in order to get flexibility, I had to quit my job and I had to throw all my hard work out. I had to completely start over. I had to divorce my husband. Like, I just thought I had to completely start fresh. Oh, it just turns out I just didn't have a good system in place. I didn't actually like the calendar and what was on the calendar. And then they make a few tweaks or they have a couple hard conversations or they talk to their work about better boundaries. These things that are like, you kind of roll your eyes out. You're like, yeah. But these little things add up. And then all of a sudden you're on the other side and you're like, oh, I didn't have to have that swirling for 3 full years. Like, you can like really get in there and like cut it off in its tracks, have someone third party help you make sense of what's swirling, help you make sense of what you actually want, and then make a few tweaks first before you throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you said boundaries. That's exactly the word I was thinking of. I think it's so hard to actually see that you're not implementing those in all the different areas of your life when that might be the quote, simple fix. Very not simple, but
So crazy though to think about it. Like people would rather quit their job, leave their family, leave their marriage, whatever. They would rather do that than have a hard conversation. At times that sounds so extreme, but like it's true. It's like that old quote about like people would rather be in the coffin than doing the eulogy at the funeral.
Yeah
Like the human brain is fascinating.
It really is.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So right now you're navigating life with littles and also building this incredible business. So how are you navigating that? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not really a proponent of the word balance. I just think there's never actually balance. Certain times, call for different energies and whatnot. But like, what are you navigating? How are you doing this?
Yeah, I know. The balance discussion is always a funny one. I've started using I don't believe in symmetry. That's what I don't believe in, because I used like the yoga, taking it back to my yoga days. I'm like, a tree pose, like a standing tree pose, is technically out of balance. But you're using different muscles and you're using like energy to like keep the tree standing. It's not symmetrical. There's still like you're still standing. So I think of it like that. And I think of my life like that. That's how I do it, is not ever the second that I start putting pressure on myself that we have to wake up at this time. This has to happen on this day. This has to happen in that way. It's like, it just doesn't work for me. It's like going into birth and they always say like, you can come up with birth preferences, but watch out for the birth plan, because the second you have this written 5-step plan in place, that is,
it's not happening.
The people I know who did that, it didn't work out that way. But if you've got preferences, like I call them rhythms, I'm like, come up with a rhythm versus a routine, because a routine would be like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you don't complete step 1 and 2 in order, 3, 4, 5 can't happen. But what if you made like a menu? And that's what I have to do with my life, because every week is different. 1 week a month, I'll do, 2 or 3 or 4 in-person podcast recordings and I go crazy, and I have to do my own hair and makeup, and it takes time. It's such a weird thing, right? But it's like, it takes, these things take time. So I batch it in that way. But if I had every single week, every single day look the same, I know myself and I love variety, and that's not a fulfilling life for me. And I know that about myself. And then 2, like, if every single day had to go the same, it doesn't work with little kids. 3 and a 5-year-old, I'm like, my son was just throwing up on the weekend for no reason. Now he's fine. I'm like, you just have to roll with it. If everything is like teetering like these I'm such an analogy person, as you can tell. Like visuals, it's just like I picture like the Jenga blocks, and like it doesn't work. And so that's what it's been a really awesome experience to be building a business while raising little kids, having had corporate life, having had a full life as a young adult without kids, because now I just know so much about myself and I know how I tick. I now am learning how this family works, how my husband works, what he wants out of life, what we need. And then I just, man, you get one rhythm going and your kids change. They start going to bed later and you're like, okay, we gotta rehaul this. So my husband and I are really good at, and we have to continue to work on this, at open lines of communication, sitting down. He is a very routine oriented person. He loves like structure and things being the same. So we have to meet each other in the middle, and we have to have like recalibration discussions still to talk about how things are working, how they could work better. Are you getting what you need out of this whole, crazy life, and vice versa.
Quick pause, and I want to speak directly to you for a second. If you've been listening to this podcast thinking, this hits, but I need support actually applying it, that's exactly why I built the Momentum Collective. It's a coaching space for women who don't want more information. They want clarity, accountability, and real forward movement. Inside, we focus on building momentum in your health, your mindset, your goals, and your life without burning yourself out. If you're ready to stop circling the same goals and start taking consistent action, the Momentum Collective might be exactly what you've been looking for. You can find all the details in the show notes. Okay, back to the episode. Totally. What a beautiful evolution, right? I say this often, but I say like, who am I now? Because we're allowed to change. We're allowed to evolve. And, our kids do, we expect them to. And so to be able to really see where our story has been, where it's grown to, and be excited for what's next. What has motherhood so far taught about yourself to you, both in coaching and personally?
Oh, I think I've never actually heard it be put how you just said it. And it's so like that would actually be it. That just because we stop growing out of our clothes as frequently, like, we might, but and actually more so like you're tossing your clothes because they're destroyed from the tomato sauce. But
that passes, but then you miss it and you cry. You're like, oh my gosh, it's not happening anymore.
But if my husband listens to this, he'll be like, I'm calling BS because you are the messiest eater. I drop food on myself all the time. It's actually wild. Oh like my son,
you're like, okay, never mind. Don't blame your kids. It's yours.
I know. I don't even know why I started saying that. Like, I'm completely lying to your audience right now. But it's just that notion that like we are allowed to continue and we should continue to grow and change. I think life is over when you're like, okay, I've made it. Made it where? Where are you going? Like that's what it's taught me. It's like, just they might be physically growing and you can see their changes so much, like we are too, alongside them. And I think what I didn't realize going into parenthood was that like there's a way of like really thinking, like, I don't want to say compartmentalizing, but like I see my one-on-one relationships with my kids. I see our family relationship. I see the relationship with my husband. I see the relationship with my friends. And it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to manage that many relationships that you care about so much. But at the same time, it just takes like presence. And it doesn't have to be, things don't have to be so grand. I think that's a big learning, actually, is like the feeling that everything has to be this big grand gesture, that it has to be this like half day hangout with your bestie. Could it be a coffee? Like, and I have friends that live all over Canada, the US, at one point Australia. And like, we would sometimes like when we were getting back together, like it might just be an hour. And it's more about that like quality and like the moments, or like you might have 30 minutes with your kids in the evening to like actually just sit down and hang or play, or it might be in the bath, might be over dinner, might be reading them a story. And like, that's great. It's the pressure for these things to be like time based. I'm starting to realize that's just not, kids don't see time that way. We're putting that pressure on ourselves too.
It's so true. They see, and we still see, I think, like the memories and how someone or something made you feel, right? And those are made like in like a snap, right? Like it doesn't need to be exactly these long drawn out things. It can be in your walk to school, or it can be in a quick, like how you smiled at someone today. That could make their day.
Yes. And this is kind of a controversial thing to say, but hey, I feel like you're the type who can handle this, but you could be like a lot of people that I work with or have friends who are like, oh my gosh, work is draining me. I just want to be a stay-at-home mom. Because if I become a stay-at-home mom, then I will be more present. Is that true? Is that true? Like, that's a hard thing to like, we feel so time scarce, and it's such a hard, like, I get it still. Like, it's such a hard feeling to be like, whoa, I really enjoyed my work today, but like, should I have wanted to be, or should I have pulled my kids out of daycare to like spend the whole day with them? If I was a stay-at-home mom, wouldn't I be a better mom? Like, I
think presence is a choice, right?
100%.
And once you're more aware of it, then you're going to fill in and actually make it a priority in your schedule, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And then not have to have that feeling of like playing catch up, or, that I've never actually talked about this, but you're good. You ask good questions. It's just that feeling where you're like, crap, I had a really busy week. So now okay, let's go get the ice cream. Let's go do this. And you almost feel like you're trying to make up for something. Like that's to me an indication that like something's off, because I don't want to be in that feeling like I'm in a deficit, feeling like I'm overextending, overdoing it. I just want it to be fun moments throughout the week, throughout the day. Like, it doesn't have to be this like deficit situation that then becomes a bit desperate.
I totally feel you.
You know what I mean?
And I feel like as a parent, you're always going to miss the mark in certain areas, but you're always going to do better in other areas because of, how you were raised or what you felt was missing. So you're going to miss something. That's just inevitable. But like, if you're leading in every day with the intention of just the little things, again, going back to that, right? That is, I always say, like, it's the little things that become the big things. You can't start a habit and just like end that and expect you're going to get to like the end point of your goal. Like, no, you have to keep showing up and doing the thing. So
totally.
Same as being a parent.
Buying the gym membership doesn't make you feel good, look good, become fit. Like, you have to go. You got to do it. Like, it's like, you got to put the shoes on.
Yeah. And parenting like doesn't give you the off button.
Nope.
You're got that membership. We're doing it.
You got that membership for life.
Totally. Okay, so tell me about your podcast. Where did this inspiration come from? I'll figure it out. Why did you want to show up in that way?
Yeah. Okay. The real story, I had a business coach, and that is, I should have said, like a big part of how I do it all is like, I don't do it on my own. I don't do everything all at once, and I don't do it on my own. I have always, whether it's outsourcing, whether it's hiring coaches to really help me to like unlock that next level. Like, you should be wary of the coach who doesn't have a coach, because we are humans.
Yes. I was just talking about this. I'm like, oh yes. Yeah.
Yes. And so I had a business coach, and we were talking. She really got to know me, and she said, Andrea, you got to start a podcast. I was like, okay. And that was it. First, I said, everyone's starting podcasts. This was like 4 years ago. 3.5 years ago. Like, everyone's starting podcasts. I'm like, it's so saturated. And she's like, why not you? Why not? I was like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. I'll see if I like it. I'll get a good microphone, which I still have to this day. I will invest in that. Everything else, hodgepodge. I'll just do it myself. So I bootstrapped it. I was like editing. I kind of like techie weirdly. So like, I could edit it. I could do all the stuff. And I got into it, and I was interviewing anybody and everybody. Whoever would want to come on this podcast, I was like, open door. I interviewed someone in Australia, in Texas, Dr. Cherith Fluker, who is like this like amazing 55, 60-year-old woman who is an educator, like just like everybody. And I don't know how I met these people. And then I realized, like, holy crap, like, I really like this. And so the premise at the start was, the intersection of work and parenting hasn't really changed that much. But the depth of the conversations, I just was like, okay, nobody has it all figured out. Tongue in cheek, obviously. My husband at first thought that I was trying to say, I have it all figured out. It's
like obviously.
Obviously. No, I was like, the moms will get it. The moms will get it. And so I was like, but how cool to like create a resource where parents can come and be like, okay, there's this little thing I want to learn about. Great, there's a podcast episode on it. Like, I'm a busy working parent. I want to hear someone talk about money from the perspective of like a double income, perhaps working family. How does that really make sense? And so the whole thing is like, I want to take a look at this world and all the personal development, all the professional development, but from the lens and the context of the working parent, or of like the really like busy family, so that, we can talk about like the Dr. Becky things, But it's like, okay, that's great. It's great that like we can talk about something like a Montessori school or like homeschooling, but this actually doesn't work with my audience because they're people who can't take on perhaps homeschooling. So how can we get the vibe and the energy of like the Reggio, Montessori, whatever, like in the home? Let's get some like information out of that. So that's the whole, that was the whole impetus, and it's just kind of grown from there. And it's just, I didn't realize how much selfishly I would love it. I love talking to people. I love talking. I love interviewing. I didn't realize how much that would just be like the joy of my working like life would be in getting to sit down. It's so weird for me to be on the other side of the mic here, but to just like ask questions and get an hour of a really incredible person's time. Every person I've interviewed is incredible in their own way, whether it's a story, them telling their life and career story, or these like crazy hardcore experts in different topics. It is such a gift to have people tell their story and get to facilitate that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just the conversation, it just brings in a whole other connection for, us sitting here too, but for anyone listening, right? And making you realize that this life isn't alone in your thoughts and that we are all so much more alike than we sometimes feel. We're not alone.
100%. And it's the you probably get this too, but it's the throwaway comments that I say or a guest will say that someone will message me and be like, wow, that really hit home. I'm like, really? That thing? But that also just goes to show like you never know who's listening, what they're taking away, where they're coming from, what frame of reference they've got, what they needed to hear in that moment. And like, what a gift if someone takes anything away, even from this conversation. It's like, right? What a gift.
One person. Yeah. Like, so if you're listening to this, just share it. One person. What did you need to hear today?
Yeah. And it's, it's such a weird anonymous platform where you're like, have all these people listening and you're like, who are you? Who are you? But that's also kind of the fun.
I know. I agree. And you're like, is it my friends, my family, or is this actually like, no, it's all over the place. It's pretty inspiring, right? Yes. When you're like, okay, the platform started for one person to like have that connection, and who knows where it is now. Yeah.
Exactly. So cool. Yeah. So cool.
And now you're also building like local in-person events. See, like I just feel like we're just on the same vibe here. But
yeah.
How intentional was that, or is that, as part of your business, your connections, all of the things?
Again, it was like one of those things that didn't make sense when I started thinking about it. Like it was probably a year and a half ago, I really started thinking about this idea as like a little seed. And I was like, why? Like, I hate event planning. Like, I actually do not like event planning whatsoever. However, I love facilitating. And so I had to change my brain a little bit because I was like, okay, professionally, I was a facilitator, a creator of learning experiences. And I loved that. And then I thought, okay, what if I just reframe it? And I'm not going to say that I'm an event planner because I am absolutely not. And I never will be. But I'm like an experienced and like personal and professional development curator. I don't know, experiential creator. Like that is what I've done for a lot of my life. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. And I started off small. I had this little idea. I was like, you know what? These coaching is expensive. Like one-to-one coaching is expensive. And I don't want to ever undercut the industry. I don't want to undersell or undervalue myself. So how might I get in front of more people, other people who might not be able to afford thousands of dollars for coaching?
Yeah.
And so I said, why don't I do a small like half-day event? And so I took kind of the concept I have in my coaching practice. I have a VIP day that I do. I realize with parents, it's really great to just come and almost like batch the time together. So we get together, we have brunch, we spend 4 hours one-to-one, and we do a lot of work in that time. And then we follow up from there. And it's such an incredible format. It works so well. There's no context switching. You're just asking someone to just block half a day and that's it. And then I was like, okay, how do I translate this into a group? So I did. So I kind of reformatted it and I launched it to a group, and it was this half day. And it was like, wait a second, this works. Like, this is so much fun. But then I started realizing, whoa, it was the conversation and the connection in the room. Like, we know what a big trend for 2026. That was like the real magic. It was not anything I prepared. It wasn't anything I structured. It wasn't anything I said. It was them sharing, like you were saying about the podcast, like sharing stories and experiences or challenges, and the other person saying, oh my God, me too. Or I had that and I'm doing this now. How does, like, we should try that. The person's like, great. Can I have that person's like, can I have your plumber's contact? Honestly, it was always like the stuff that was like around the home or whatever. And I was like, this is incredible. So then from there, taking that Steven idea, rolling with it, continuing to evolve, pivot, hear what people were saying, I was like, you know what I miss is like getting dressed up a little bit, going to like a professional development breakfast, but I don't want it to be in a church basement. I don't want it to be in this like really ugly
Legion
conference.
Hall.
Yes, like the hall of the banquet hall with the like kind of dirty carpet that's dark. And you're like, what's there? The white tablecloth. Like, I was like, oh, there's something here though. And so I was like, you know what? The Breakfast Club. This is going to be in a beautiful space with a hot, beautiful brunch. Like while a parent is awake, has their most energy probably in the morning, 10 o'clock. So like you do your drop off, maybe you have to do it a bit early, get someone else to help, but then you can get there. You're taking basically a half day from work, but your company can support it because it's a professional development atmosphere. It's networking,
Totally.
it's mixing it up. And I launched it last month. I guess March was the first one, which is crazy. It feels like it's been ages. And it was such a success in that like people were like, that was lovely. Like that's just what I needed. And it wasn't this like my whole thing is it doesn't have to be this like 7-day quiet meditation retreat. Everything doesn't have to be this like huge upheaval. It doesn't have to be a huge coaching program. It can be a $125 breakfast, which is also good money, but you're going to leave with this like full belly, highly caffeinated, coffee flowing, learn something, met someone, and like you can go on with your day. And it, like you said, it's those small things that really become the big things.
Yeah, I love that. It's perfect. And you're right. Everyone's awake and ready to like have conversations.
It's like a thing. I know. I want to say like I will host more evening events. I've done that in the past, but like personally, I'm sleeping by like 9:15. So, like I get it. Like asking someone to go home and then come back out is like, that's a big thing. You got to gear up for that.
So in this season, where are you going? What are you building?
You know what? I'm building a business. I'm building a business. I know that sounds funny, but I'm building a business. I'm building my businesswoman self. Like she's stepping out and not being like, oh, I just have this little podcast or I'm just a coach.
Let's remove that from our female vocabulary.
Good God. Yeah. The amount of exclamation marks. I will never give up the exclamation marks. The Gen Zs cannot take that away from me. But I'm building a business. I'm building something that is bigger than me and something that is supportive of parents, that is supportive of my family financially. And I think it's just people need to talk more about that. That this is not a hobby. This isn't like there's way too much in the early, like, I would say, of these like online female business owners who were friggin' badass and amazing. And they were leading people to believe that the only way you could build a really successful or amazing business was if it was like virtue first, basically. Like you can like, the only way to do this is if it's just like giving as much of yourself possible. Like I'm running a business, you got to call that out. I'm running a business that is so supportive of working parents and it's not a hobby. So thank you for asking, but it's important to like call that out.
Own it.
It feels cringy, honestly. I'm actually kind of recoiling a bit saying it.
Yeah. No, but like own it because
you got to own it.
Oh my gosh. Look at the men do. They're never questioned. And it's so true, right? There's some crazy stat that in North America, or maybe it's the US, it's probably the US, but like 51 or 2% of businesses in the next year are female started. It's incredible, right? It's bringing in something like $13 trillion into the economy next year. Women created. And so we got to start calling our own shots and not feeling that we have to undercut it by the just.
Exactly. And like, it can be both. A man will start like a fertilizer business because they see a gap in the market. That's a business decision. I don't know that a lot of these people are passionate about fertilizer.
No, totally. Boring businesses are amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And it's important. And so it's like, it's not that it's like it's a bad thing. Like they're doing a good service and like you can still act with integrity.
Yes. Right.
While running a business.
Totally.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah.
Talk about this forever.
Oh, so if you could fast forward 5 years, what would you hope your kids say about the version of you that you're building?
Oh my gosh, I'd have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I want them to I just picture the podcast studio, like my dream studio that I would create. Maybe host other podcasters, have you on my network or whatever. And have my kids play hooky and come for a day and see me in action and see me freaking loving what I do and having so much fun and being excited to tell them about it, including them in it, having them come see it and play. And like my daughter was on my podcast one time and she still talks about it. It was a year ago and she tells everyone, she's like, can you tell them about the podcast? I'm like, I will send them the episode that you're on. And
it's adorable.
Just that I'm lit up by this and that it's not all consuming, that I'm their mom first and I'm a business owner and I have a lot of fun doing what I do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to follow up or finish up with a few rapid fire questions.
Oh,
so
love a rapid fire.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person.
One thing you do every day that keeps you sane?
Washing my face.
I love it. Was not expecting that. Favorite spot in North Vancouver?
I love United Strangers.
Mm-hmm.
The owners are incredible.
Best piece of advice you've ever received as a mom?
Well, it's not the days go fast or the days are long, the years are short. I hate that one. The best piece of advice. The best thing you can do for your kids is to enjoy your own life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more. What's one thing on your someday list you're ready to finally say out loud?
I've never said, I don't even think I said this to my husband. Are you ready?
Claim it, girl. Yep, I'm ready.
In the next couple of years, I want to pull my kids out of school for I don't know, quarter semester, whatever you call it. And I want to travel. I want to homeschool and I want to see the world with them.
Yeah, do it. We were going to do that and then COVID hit, but we ended up just getting out of here anyways for a long time. But honestly, they will learn what they need to, and travel is something that will abundantly pay back.
Or even if it is go to one country, go to Europe, plunk it down in one country so that you have access just to a different spot. And it could be for 2 months. It doesn't, nothing crazy. Okay, now I'm
it's
pulling it back, but it's out there.
Yeah, but you're not, and you're not justifying it.
No, I know. Could you see that? You saw that. You saw me start doing that. I know.
Oh, the wheels, those swirls are going.
I honestly was
happening.
okay, if we did December, January, this was all just in 1 second going through my head. Thank you for asking me that. That was a good one.
So where can everyone find you? And I'll tag everything in the show notes here too.
So lovely. I hang out a lot on Instagram at All Figured Out Andrea. On YouTube, you can watch my podcast. It's beautifully produced and all the things. So while you're doing the dishes, you can, not because women do dishes, but there's just always so many dishes as parents. You can watch on YouTube at All Figured Out Andrea. Where else? AndreaBarr.com. The podcast is All Figured Out. There's a bit of a theme. And
perfect.
Yeah,
I like themes. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. So appreciated our conversation and connection. It was so easy and real.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I feel like I said so many things that I've never said out loud, and now I'm going to listen back and be like, yes, I'm doing it. So thank you so much for having me. And thank you to the listeners who tuned in.
Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If today's conversation resonated, then ask yourself what one small action you can take from it. Because momentum isn't built in big, dramatic moments. It's built in a quiet follow-through, the honest choices, and the decision you make when no one's watching. If you loved this episode, the best way to support the show is to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you don't have to choose between showing up for your life and going after your potential. This is your permission to stop playing small. I'll see you next time.